Welcome to all the delegates and panelists. We do have Miralde, that is also the presenter today, that's with us. I'm sure that some of the other panelists will shortly also sign in. My name is Adele Kroch and I'm from Food Focus. And it's once again an honor for us to be part of the Intervarsitybrew 2023 competition and these presentations. This presentation will be recorded and the recording and the slides will be posted on the InterVarsity website, intervarsitybrew.co.za. If you've missed the previous webinars, please go to the InterVarsity Brew website, and at the top right corner you will see the hamburger. If you click on the hamburger, it's got a drop down that says Webinars 2023. There, currently, you will find the presentation that was done by Kyle Moskovich. He spoke about how to brew a better beer, and he also provided some amazing information on the purpose of each step and why it's important and what you can check during your process. Chris Roth yesterday spoke about the BJCP, how to become a member of them, and also then how to complete the registration form. On the following slide, you will see all the sponsors that is involved with the competition this year. And as you can see, there are some big names. And like I said before, this will help you to show to them your interest and maybe your future company that you'll be working for will see you at this event. Just to get you guys in the mood and so that you know what has happened last year, I'm going to show you this short video. So I'm sure that also excites you guys and making you even look forward to October more. So now I would like to present to you or introduce to you your presenter for today. It's Miralde Kotze, and Miralde will be speaking about the do's and don'ts of the beer label and the design of your beer label. Miralde has been a professional in the design industry for more than 15 years. Her qualifications range from graphic design, marketing and marketing research, packaging, technology and photography, skills development facilitation, and entrepreneurship. She has collaborated with companies and corporations such as TIA, CUT, CRPM, Konica Minolta, Xerox, UFS, Rapdasa, and many more. We are looking forward to your presentation, Miralde, and we are eagerly waiting to hear what you've got to share with us and the audience in terms of how they can make sure that they have their label correct.
Thank you, Adele, and thank you for that warm welcome. It's a great video of what we did in 2022, and I'm sure that everyone will be excited for what's going to happen in 2023.
Absolutely.
So today, we are talking about a label design do's and don'ts, and especially what makes a good label design. We're also going to look at the information that your label must carry by law, and then what tools can be used to communicate the essence of your product. So we're going to also look at what to expect during this year 2023 Intervarsity Brew beer label design competition. And we will share with you the judging template, also known as the score sheet, so that you know exactly what the judges will be evaluating. Just a little bit about the company that I'm representing. The Product Development Technology Station is hosted by Central University of Technology, and as part of the Technology Stations program by the Technology Innovation Agency, also known as TIA, we specialize in product development and has narrowed our focus on mostly medical assistive device product development. However, we also do a wide range of prototype development and also graphic design and branding. So that is more my area of expertise. I would like to share with you the 2022 beer label design judges. They've also signed up and are very excited for 2023. We are also inviting 2 new judges. They would, and it's still a secret at this stage, either be from the beer industry or from the design industry. My role is the label design judging convener. Now, the convener's primary responsibility is to serve as the organizer and the administrator of the collaboration, carrying out the preliminary and follow-up tasks that ensure the process proceeds smoothly. So I'm not a beer label design judge. I'm the convener of this part of the competition. The only section of the evaluation will be the legal aspects that I will be looking at, and that counts for 16% of the total score, but that section will be judged purely based on yes or no criteria. You either have it on your label or you don't. It has been said that design is an opinion. It's also being defined as a skill, and others say it's a science. It remains subjective, and the only opinion that matters is the audience that's going to buy your product. Design is something you only have to pay for once. It is something built in at the start of the brand development. It's part of the fixed costs in the equation, not the variable costs, but it adds value to every unit sold. Your product brand consists of more than just a logo or a label. It extends to anything that can essentially be branded. For example, your vehicles, business cards, websites, your social media platforms, your team's t-shirts and jackets, and so on. Now, the difference between brand and branding is that the one is an emotion and the other one is a marketing tool. Brand and branding are often referred to as the same, when in fact that couldn't be further from the truth. Branding is only one element of building a successful brand. Therefore, having a good label or product design is only the first step. Your brand represents your identity, who you are, what you do, how you are perceived. It's essentially the customer service that you provide. Together with the quality products, it becomes your reputation and even forms part of the way you talk to a customer or a supplier on the telephone. A brand is the emotions that people associate with your product and your business. It's almost entirely the result of how a customer feels when they do business with you. It's what they take away after walking out of your shop or receiving an email or completing a sale. Not only isolated to using or consuming your product, it's the words and the emotions they use to describe your business to friends and family and colleagues. A graphic designer cannot create your brand. Now that sounds strange because many times I introduce myself as I develop personal and corporate brands. But a brand is something that is built from the inside out. A designer can certainly develop a brand design and a brand identity, and that gives you, the brand owner, the tools to create the brand and make it come alive. So what is a pack? In this case, what is the role of the bottle and the label? Now, the essence of a pack would be, at its very core, the ability to create the illusion that the product it contains has never been touched by another human hand before. But the definition cannot end there. You would also want to know, what is it that you are consuming? And as much fun as beer is, it is a mind-altering substance and has a lot of legal requirements surrounding its sale. So keep in mind that these legal aspects count for 16% of the total score of your label design. And it's also the only section that I, as the convener, will evaluate. Now, these marks will be pre-printed on your score sheet that the beer label design judges will receive to mark and judge your designs. So just a note, especially on the barcode, because the bottle is round, the barcode will need to be printed vertically. Because if you place it on the design horizontally, as it rounds or curves around the bottle, the scanner will not be able to read it. So please have a look at that as well. So your product name and classification needs to be on there, your list of ingredients, your manufacturer's details, and we'll talk about each of these in a little bit more detail, but you must be physically able to visit the factory or the bottling facility. The country of origin, the lot identification and barcode, the best before and sell-by date, storage instructions, allergen indication, and your health warning. Last but not least, and this is an overarching of everything, is the personality of the brand. Now, even though the product name, the ingredients, the manufacturer's details, and all of these other legal aspects mostly featured on the back of your label design, it needs to link in with the personality of the brand. In other words, it needs to have the same look, feel, and style. Now, the label must show the name of the foodstuff on the main label in letters 4 millimeters high. And that is not, in this example showing on screen, Copper Lake. It's also not handcrafted. It's also not lighter side of life. The foodstuffs is what is inside the bottle. It's the words light lager. So that we in particular look at and counts for 2%. It needs to be clearly visible on the front of your label, and it needs to be no smaller than 4 millimeters. So the brand, in this case, it is the Copper Lake flag or banner, and the C is the who. And then the name of the foodstuff, the light lager, is the what. Then your list of ingredients, including additives. The ingredients must be listed from most to least. So you will see waters listed first, because it's, if you actually separate all the ingredients from each other, then waters counts for most of the ingredients. Then the name and the address of the producer or the seller. You must be able to physically visit the factory, and then the country of origin, the lot identification, the barcode. You'll see technically over here, the barcode shouldn't be positioned horizontally. I think the bottle is wide enough for the scanner to still pick it up, but to play it safe, I would suggest from a design perspective and a design for print perspective, always place it vertically and not horizontally, because then you guarantee that the barcode scanner will read it. Then best before or use by or sell by date, storage instructions, for instance, store below 5 degrees Celsius. So Copper Lake actually need that on their labels, because what would happen if you don't have your storage instructions? Shops that sell your product or keep stock of your product will just give you back products that have been standing outside of the chill room, and then it's your loss. But if you indicate that they need to store it below 5 degrees Celsius, then it extends the shelf life. So that's important to have the storage instructions there. Optionally, you can say the serving suggestion. Now, the serving suggestion would be serve chilled 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, which is good. But for us, for this competition, the storage instructions, store below 5 degrees Celsius, is very important, and you can use those exact words if you want to. Then any allergen indication, and then your health warning. And I think in the next slide, we'll talk specifically about the health warning but it must be black text on a white background separated from the graphics. Sometimes the owners of the products direct print the bottles with the batch code, but in this competition, please print it on your labels. It will just make more sense if you put it on your label. Now, sometimes the lot identification number and the date it was bottled or the best before is on a separated area or section that the owners of the products can just print afterwards, because I take it from a design for print perspective. If you order a lot of labels that are the same design, you pay less per unit than if you order just small batches. So what I would think is the top label in the middle is they had it printed and left that brown section open for them to stamp it with white ink, the particulars, the date it was bottled, and the lot identification number. So the design elements and the look and the feel shouldn't only be represented on the front of your label. It needs to also communicate to whatever information you put on the back. So the design elements, the look and the feel of the product communicates the personality of the brand and is also seen on both the front and the back of the labels. That means you're going to use the same fonts, you're going to use the same color scheme or color palette, or the same textures in the background. So you basically carry through the design that you have on the front all the way to the back and to the sides. Now, in some cases, the brand owner is not the manufacturer, or the product is bottled on behalf of the brand owner. Now, the manufacturer details must feature on the product with a physical address. One must be physically able to visit the premises of the manufacturer. Now, the product description, the barcode, let me rephrase. The product description that's normally on a website that can be linked to a website or a URL with a QR code can be optional for optional information about your product, because a label does not allow you to give the whole history about the product always. So if you want to add a QR code or a website or an email address on the label, you are allowed to, but those will be optional extras. You will see from our marking sheet or judging sheet that we've listed all the compulsory elements that must be on the label. So the icons are also optional. If we have a look on this label as a design example, it adds interest as design elements, especially if they are similar in nature and design. For example, the round circles that contain them and the color and line style. They reinforce the content on the label and add additional information in support of the words or the paragraphs. So although this label says vegan, gluten-free, lactose-free, those icons support the concept. They are meant to support rather than be there for decoration purposes. The alcohol content per volume can be mentioned again on the back, but it must be visible on the front, close to or next to the volume of the container. And in this case, the entries will be 750 milliliter brown glass bottles. But having it appear on the label only once in the front is enough. If you do not repeat it on the back, that would be fine. Then the health warning is indicated on the label, separated from the rest of the design, and it must be written in black text with a white background, and that is the law for South Africa. So this article by the Institute of Alcohol Studies called International Evidence and Best Practice on Alcohol Labeling have listed mandatory legally required health information of labels on alcohol containers in different countries. And so for South Africa, regardless of the fact that they say that it must be a certain percentage of the total height of the label, we're not going to be that strict. All we're asking for this competition is that your health warning be written in black text on a white background and that it's in an area separated from the rest of the graphics. So basically, to summarize it, if your health warning makes your label look ugly, then you're on the right track. it should stand out. It should be visible clearly, and it should look different from the rest of your graphics. In a world of numerous products shouting for our attention, the label and the graphics are that silent ambassador of the product. And the label's branding is going to account for most of your first impressions. Knowing your brand personality is very important, and it needs to be translated visually. In other words, you need to take that warm, fuzzy, friendly oatmeal stout and figure out how to visually communicate that. Now, how do we do that? We're going to use color. We're going to use typography. We're going to use graphic style, and we're going to use imagery. And these are the tools that you are going to use to communicate visually and translate visually the personality of the product. The element of design that is at best communicating personality with just a quick glance is color. Science has shown that each color sparks a unique emotional connotation, acting as a useful shortcut for marketers and designers to communicate brand complexities with just a glance. Before you start picking out colors of your label, you want to think about the colors of your bottle and of your beer. Now, there's three common beer bottle colors: clear, brown, and green. For this competition, you will use a 750 milliliter brown bottle, regardless of what is available. Those are the rules. Now, in terms of functionality, brown bottles filter out ultraviolet and regular light, which protects the beer and keeps it from getting skunky. And if you're brewing something hoppy, it's a no-brainer to go for brown. But beers with little to no hops aren't as susceptible to light, so you can consider clear or green bottles outside of this competition, though. Now, the color scheme can make your label stand out as something more modern or playful, if that is the brand you're looking to create. Clear bottles are unique in that the color of the beer becomes the background of your label design. And many brewers who use clear bottles play this color up in their label, either with a label color that clearly matches or that contrasts. Label shapes are a consideration specific to the beer maker. Do you want a traditional shape and size or something custom die cut? This will stand out, but it may increase the cost of your printing. Do you want a separate label for the neck, for the front and the back? Or do you want one label that wraps around the body? Do you want to go with standard paper, or maybe something unique with a transparent background? So for this competition, you can print your designs in full color on regular paper, unless you have the facilities to print it on a different material. That is up to you, but we won't be scrutinizing on if you just print it in full color on regular paper. Like colors, fonts you choose communicate a lot about your brand personality. Serif fonts, those ones with the little feet, or script fonts give your label a more classic feel, and sans serif fonts make it more modern. Now, it can be tempting to go with a really fun, crazy display font, but remember that readability is very important, and you want customers to be able to read your name so that they can remember you, and also to read the rest of the words on your label so that they can make an informed purchasing decision. So different might be fun, but practical will inform. Traditional beers have a traditional label style. One prominent color, maybe a large name over or next to a crest, and some subtle text or abstract images for visual interest. With the rise of craft beer, though, labels have become an art form. We see everything from cartoon-like illustrations to hand-drawn masterpieces to photographs to extreme minimalism. Style should be dictated by your target audience. So if you're targeting a younger customer with your wild or even experimental flavors, You might want a label that's outlandish or a bit trippy. And if you're targeting a classier crowd, you do better with a minimalist label, foregoing a cartoon mascot. Once you have your style, you can decide on imagery. How do you do that? You need to figure out what makes you unique. Do you use a very specific ingredient? Show them. Do you have a cat that's become the brewer's unofficial mascot? Incorporate him. Are you using a brewing technique from a specific culture? Utilize design styles from that same region. Do you have a clever name? You should play that up. Your craft beer label visuals aren't the only way to communicate with prospective buyers. Don't forget that words are designed too. As mentioned previously, you want to reach out to your target customers, meaning a porter brand will want to reach out to porter drinkers. The most obvious way to do this is to first have the word porter on the bottle and then highlight the word through visuals. It's best to take a systematic approach at this step. List out the best keywords to describe your beer and then prioritize them so your designer or your team knows which one to emphasize over others. Common beer keywords you can borrow or read through to help you inspire would be words like adventurous, aged, American, barrel, Belgian, bitter, black, blonde, Canadian, creamy, crisp, dark, dry, elegant, English, fruity, handcrafted, hearty, hoppy, homemade, Irish, layered, multi-mellow, organic, robust, rich, sharp, smoky, smooth, thick, traditional. So you may have noticed that a lot of these words describe taste, making them good foundations for further design choices, especially when new customers, people tend to latch onto a single idea before they then form a deeper opinion. So unless you take the initiative to give them something to latch onto, you may find your brand being associated with negative ideas like expensive or boring. Now, disclaimer, this slide is only for additional information once you're done with the competition and you start selling your products. So beers really are sold as singletons. When it comes to design, it's not just the label you have to think about, but the multi-pack. This includes both 6-pack and 12-pack containers, bottle caps, and perhaps a beer tap handle. Now, designing packaging is not difficult if you've already handled the label design and the branding. Think of your packaging as a label design extension, but on different canvases. Your label and packaging should always match the imagery, the typography, the color scheme, and the personality. So consistency is essential in branding, especially so that outsiders are able to link your packaging to your bottles, to your cans, and also to your multi-pack packs. Now, this must happen in a single look, that it must look like a product family. The alternative is worse. If your packaging and individual labels don't match, it makes your brand look disjointed and unprofessional and almost as if you decided to use someone else's box to put your products in. For better or worse, much of your success in the brewing industry depends on more than just how good your beer tastes. You could have created the best beer in the world, but if your marketing is lacking, no one will ever know about it. Like it or not, if you want people to fall in love with your beer's taste, you have to first impress them with your label. And we've also decided to introduce a section on the judging template on how the label design pairs with the taste of the beer and supports the product it contains. The judges work according to a scoring sheet where each beer label has been pre-assessed on the legal aspects, and that's the part that I personally take care of beforehand. So it's that 16% that's about all those tick boxes on the legal aspects that need to be on the label. Now, during the judging process that will take place on Saturday, the judges won't discuss the labels with each other until at the end all the results have been collected and consolidated. So where in the case where the scores are equal, because we're well, it could happen, but we're an uneven number of judges. We will 5 plus 2 is 7. It will be discussed and then voted on. Now, the legal aspects are evaluated the day before the event and pre-printed on each entry score sheet with the name and the product classification. And that is why it's important that your beer and your label entries must reach us on or before the 13th of October. This particular entry on screen scored 11 out of 16, but if you follow the checklist we provide, it will be impossible not to score 16 out of 16 for the legal aspect section. The score sheet is divided into main sections, of which the visual communication counts the most. And the judges will also evaluate the label based on the taste of your beer, and whether it looks the way it tastes or tastes the way it looks. In other words, does the label design support the product inside the bottle? So if you want to score a definite 16% and 100% on the legal aspects, please make sure that these aspects are on the labels. And we will use a fake manufacturing address, and everyone will use the same address. And the reason for that is so that you are not tempted to put down your university address or the town or the city you are from. Remember, this competition is blind. If your university is identified by any element on your label, you will be disqualified from the label design competition. And the reason for that is some of the judges might be associated with the universities, and that's an unfair emotional advantage that you might have. And that's why we're keeping it anonymous. So please remember that the legal aspects of your label design will be the only section that I, as the convener, will evaluate. These marks will be pre-printed on your score sheets that the beer label design judges will receive to mark and score your label designs. We have already prepared a PDF file with all of the words I'm speaking to you now, as well as the scoring sheet that will be sent to you or made available through the website. Right, so visual communication accounts for most of the weight of the scoring. We're looking at the label colors and how you combine it with the shape of the label, the typography, the words, the graphic style and imagery. It's all about the personality of your brand, which would then be from those visual communication tools, the colors, the shape, the words, the graphic style, the imagery, you would then be able to define a personality. Is the personality youthful, carefree, exciting, or is it rugged, tough, and outdoorsy? It could also communicate in such a way that it seems challenging the status quo or quirky, or it could become sophisticated and have an elegant, luxurious feel. So your visual communication tools will then add up to give you your personality. The new criteria that was introduced in 2022 will also continue to be part of the evaluations of this year. Does the label design support and accentuate the product on the inside? And this counts for 12%. So if you've got something like a porter that's darker compared to a light lager, then the graphics will also immediately communicate that without even saying that it is a porter or a stout. You would know it's definitely, most probably not a lager. So your entry will be as follows. To enter, and remember, entering a label design of one of your products is compulsory, but you will enter one 750 milliliter bottle, brown, empty, with your label design glued, pasted, fitted to your bottle. And then you will also submit a filled 750 milliliter brown bottle with your product name marked clearly. So you can use painter's tape or masking tape. It doesn't have to have the fancy label that you're entering into the competition. It must just be marked in such a way that we know label design, Little Taste of Africa, goes with this empty bottle from Little Taste of Africa that we are going to use to score the taste and look category. So your entries must reach CUT on or before the 13th of October. And also the reason for that is we take photographs, we take videos, we prepare already for the award ceremonies to have all of those things in place so that the day of the judging things run smoothly. So your entries must reach me, please, by email on or before the 13th of October, and that would be your beer label design file in a PDF format. And I will know which university it comes from because you will use your URL or what your name is at the URL of the university. But that does not matter as long as the judges judging your label design does not know which label design comes from which university. Remember, I'm completely impartial. I am the coordinator of the label judging. So please send me your label designs before 13 October in a PDF format. Okay, guys, from the website, this is our call to participate and also with the rules. And you will see there in the middle paragraph, in addition, a prize will also be awarded for the best labeled 750 milliliter brown beer bottle. So please take note that an entry for the label competition is compulsory. One product. You do not have to submit a label design for all of your products, only one. And the label of one of your 750 milliliter bottles entered empty. The label judges will also taste the beer, so prepare an extra bottle filled and clearly mark it with your product name. Make sure that your label complements the beer. Please do not reveal the university you are from by any means on your label design. And please send me your beer label designs in a PDF format in Kotze at cut.ac.za before the 13th of October. And this PDF is available from the Intervarsitybrew website. You're welcome to download and save it also there as reference. But that is it from me, and I'm now open to answer questions.
Wow, Miralde, I must say, this part of the competition looks like the fun part for me in terms of the design and putting everything together. So attendees, please, now's the time. If you've got any questions, please pop them into the question bar so that we can make sure that Miralde can answer the questions. But if you don't have any questions right now, you've got Miralde's email address. Miralde, I'm sure of it, the delegates can then definitely send you an email to ask you, you know, these questions. I think for me, it just clearly shows that this is the part where you can actually make up a lot of points because it's very straightforward in terms of what you need to have on your bottle and, you know, all the tips that you've given in terms of printing the barcode vertically. And I think you've mentioned it more than once that it's a 750 milliliter brown bottle. And this presentation will also be available and the PowerPoint presentation and the recording on the Intervarsitybrew website. So it's definitely possible to get all this information. Miralde, just once again, so what you are saying is the manufacturing address for all the people participating. Can you just repeat that address again for us so that we make sure that the students are aware of what that address is that they need to put onto the label?
Sure. We've decided this year to send out a dummy address or a fake address, and everyone will use the same one, just so that you're not tempted to use your university or the city you are from. Because if you say we are in Short Street in Potchefstroom, we might recognize what university is from. So it's 27 Poppy Avenue, Sunflower Ridge, South Africa. And then you've covered also the country of origin if you put the word South Africa on there.
Perfect. And I think something else that's important, just mention those dates again. When do you need to receive delivery of all these things that you've spoken about?
The brochure states that any time between 11 October to 13 October, the entries and the products must reach CUT's campus.
Okay, Miralde, it seems like you have done a presentation and we don't have any further questions. So thank you for everybody that did sign in. As I've mentioned, The recording and the presentation will be available on the intervarsitybrew.co.za website. And we've got one webinar left for this week, and that is tomorrow, same time. You guys have registered and you've got the link. And Jacques Janse van Rensburg will be presenting on yeast selection and nutrition. So please make sure that you sign in for the webinar tomorrow as well. And once again, please just take 3 minutes after the broadcast stops to complete our survey for us. And we're looking forward to having you tomorrow. And thank you, Miralde, for your time and the awesome presentation that you did. I'm sure of it, it's giving the correct guidance and information to all the delegates to make sure that they can get the most marks in terms of their label and their label design.
Thank you very much, Adele. It's a huge pleasure.
Okay, everybody, see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.